We are back once again, and it is that time of the month. We need a TV fix. That's right, indeed. We need a television fix right here, coming right at you here. And who better to give us that TV fix each and every month than our good friend? She is the star reporter, shall I say, of the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check out all the great things that are going on at the TV Ratings Guide with all the new scripts that they come up with, the new show ideas, the constant updates on the TV ratings world each and every day, whether it's broadcast, cable, what have you. Also, as well, a lot of great articles, a lot of great reviews, and so much more. It is the TVRatingsGuide.com, and it is my good friend. It is Jessica Boggs. Always great to have you back on the show, Jessica.
It is great to be on.
And there's a lot to talk about. I thought it might be kind of a dead time as far as a lot of stuff going on in pop culture, because it kind of is. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of end of the year stuff, beginning of the year stuff. It really doesn't start kicking in until later this week with CES and all that. But you know what? The TV world out there never sleeps. It never stops. And while a lot of good things are going on with Netflix that Josh and I are going to talk about, there's also some great things out there going on in the world of television. And you know what? I'm going to put on my mask right now, because I know that's the first thing we want to talk about is The Masked Singer.
Yeah, the biggest one on Fox's lineup right now is The Masked Singer. And when it premiered to, at first it was a 2.9, and then Fast Ratings, Fast Nationals, the finals had it adjusted up to a 3.0.
And so in the large 18 to 49 demo, which is the crucial demo to networks out there, the one that they really go by as far as an overall overarching rating there, if I could say that correctly. I mean, yeah, that's great that everybody watches something, but when the key 18 to 49 demo watches something and really keys in on something, that's really the most important. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And Masked Singer got like 9 million viewers, over 9 million viewers tune in. And 3% of the demo tune in, pretty much, a 3.0. And that's pretty much the second highest rated show on Fox after Thursday Night Football.
And you said that, and TVRG said out there, the TV Ratings Guide, they basically said that it was one of the largest, if not the largest rated show of the year outside of footballs, as far as the season so far is concerned. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh my gosh. All that and just people singing with a mask on. Yeah. Like I said, I've got my mask on. I'm going to go ahead and hum a few bars. Can people tell who it is? Me, 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 me. All right. Anyways, let's move on. But yes, that is some great news, obviously, for Fox, which is so desperate to try and finally try and get over that hump and become number one as far as the overall rating scene is concerned. This is something that they've tried for many, 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 many years. They're closing in on it ever so carefully, ever so closely, and it all starts with The Masked Singer and obviously a lot of other great programs as well. But there's also a lot of other stuff to talk about. I know there's also another show that debuted as well in the Titan Games, which is supported by The Rock, again lending his name and presence to a type of athletic endeavor type format, just part game, part athletic event. Almost reminds me of old school Challenger days and whatnot. But your thoughts on the Titan Games, how it performed, and its vision for the future. How well do you think it's going to perform continuously down the road?
I feel like it's young skewing for a premiere, but it's not as big as The Masked Singer. So with either one, you have to see where the numbers will settle.
Do you think it was more the show or more the presence of The Rock that actually gave it its nice returns on the rating scene?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Well, I'll tell you what, is this something that you could see continue on as a show that's successful? Because I kind of liken this show to American Gladiators as far as the Titan games is concerned, maybe an updated model of it. And American Gladiators, as you know, from TV history and all that, is something that did perform pretty well over a course of a 3-4 year period. So your thoughts on the Titan games being something that could be successful for a little while to come?
Well, yes, it could be moderately successful. It's strong on NBC, pretty much.
And NBC will definitely promote it. So I agree with you on that. So it's something that, at least in the short term, you could see some really good benefits from it. Long term, there is still some question, but people seem to be going for these competition series right now at a very high level, whether it's singing or whether it's athletics. So Titan Games has started off to a pretty good start, and it looks forward to, for The Rock, another success on television this time, and and obviously a good note for NBC. There's also some other returning shows that we wanted to talk about. Speaking of NBC, I'll start there. The Blacklist, a show that once was really one of the shows you got to catch each and every week at one time, has fallen on a little bit of hard times. Your thoughts on The Blacklist now that it moved over to a new day and a new time?
Well, it moved to Fridays, and in a Thursday, it had Titan Games as the lead-in on Thursday, and it got a 0.9. And once it moved over, it got a 0.6, which is like a brand new series low, but 2/100, not 2/100, but 2/10 higher than what Blind Spot and Midnight Texas have done.
So it is an improvement in that time slot. It's just overall, it's just not eye-opening, but it is almost a 20% increase, even more possibly when you consider that fact, than what they were doing in that previous time slot, correct?
I think that's correct. But at the same time, it's still pretty low. It's lower rated than what ABC, CBS, and Fox aired in the same slot. And Fox pretty much won the night in CBS, and ABC were following close behind.
Fair enough, fair enough. So right now, the jury's out on The Blacklist, and whether or not it will retain its slot long term or retain itself long term is now in question. I know TVRG will now actually, if you want to check out what the status of it is as far as its livelihood, whether or not it's going to be renewed, whether it's going to be canceled, or whether or not it's right in the middle on the cut line, you got to check out the TVRatingsGuide.com today. That's the TVRatingsGuide.com, and they'll let you know each and every week. They update NBC, ABC, Fox, cable, the whole 9 yards as far as everything going on in the TV rating scene when it comes to stuff like The Blacklist and whether or not it's going to stay long term. Another show that I take interest in, which I've told you about, which I kind of liken to a car accident for me, where I just cannot stop watching it for some reason, even though I know it's not the greatest, is the Orville. And the Orville did it get moved to a new day and time as well?
Well, actually, it premiered on Sunday and did mediocre, but then when it moved back on its usual Thursday 9 p.m. slot, it hit a new series low of 0.6.
I know there's about 2.82 million people watching it now, which is a little bit lower than what they were doing. You're definitely right on that. I saw that earlier before we went on the air. And for someone that is a kind of fan of the Orville, and I know a lot of people out there do enjoy it, it seems like they weren't able to bring that football crowd that watches after the football game into watching it on a Thursday night.
Yeah, it's just mostly its loyal audience, and some of it may be part of the demo aging out as well. And there's people that watch it on streaming too, because it was brought like over a year hiatus. Pretty much last fall, it premiered in September, now it has a December premiere, and not that many people knew it was back.
I agree with you on that assessment because I know they made the announcement at Comic-Con, but it was kind of light comparative to other announcements that were made, and Fox really didn't give it much momentum until just before it got premiered. I agree with you on that. There might have been a lack of knowledge as far as it being out, and there was a delay as far as the actual show itself being renewed for its next season. So yeah, it's kind of concerning for fans of the Orville right now. We're gonna have to see how it plays out. But yes, for updates on that show, just check out the TVRatingsGuide.com as well. Well, before I let you go, we've got a lot of shows to run off that are upcoming, returning, or debuting on several networks. And I know both you and Rebecca, who's also at the TVRatingsGuide.com, she's been tweeting out there, and I know you have been tweeting out there as well as far as a lot of shows. So let's start off with some of the shows that you're talking about that she's also talking about as well that's coming out, that your thoughts on those shows like Schooled, Fam, The Blacklist, Roswell, New Mexico, America's Got Talent Champions, Match Game, Ellen's Game of Games. Let's start off with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because that's something that's created a lot of conversation, something that I'm not happy that Superstore got pushed back for. So it's picking up that Superstore time slot. Tell me how you think it's going to do comparatively to Superstore, because it's gotten a lot of hype.
I feel like it's going to do about the same as Superstore. The only difference is it's in syndication and it moved networks. So even with a 0.8, a 0.7 or 0.8 or 0.9, that's still pretty good for NBC comedy as a whole, compared to dramas, which are more likely higher rated than the comedy aspect.
I hear you. I hear on that. I mean, personally, like I said, I'm a big fan of Superstore. Really like what they do. I know also a lot of people are looking forward to the return of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but there was a reason why it left Fox. But then again, it could find the same kind of success that Fox's recent acquisition of The Last Man Standing has seen. So that could be another TV success right there for you. One thing I also want to talk to you about is Schooled on ABC. Let me know a little bit more about Schooled and your thoughts on its ratings, just like a prediction on its ratings future.
Well, it's basically a spin-off of The Goldbergs, and that has the 8:30 slot. So it'll probably get like similar ratings to American Housewife, but not as much. There's also a time slot change for A Million Little Things for like right after Grey's Anatomy.
So, excuse me. Now, does that bode well for that show, or does that mean that ABC is losing confidence in that series?
I think that bodes well for it, but rather a loss of confidence in Station 19. Because it's not retaining as much information ratings-wise from Grey's Anatomy, and Grey's Anatomy has a low live rating ratio. Most of it is performed on the same day. People DVR it.
Fair enough. And then you've also got another show that's coming out on CBS called Fam. Your thoughts on Fam? Which show is it replacing, and your outlook on that on Fam?
Well, Fam is replacing Murphy Brown on the 9:30 time slot, and usually when a new show is at 9:30, it usually does not do as well, though. So I'd expect either Life in Pieces or Man with a Plan to replace it.
Fair enough. Because, obviously the lack of success from Murphy Brown has put that time slot on a free fall, and it's going to take something out of the box, I think, for it to pick it back up at some point. And I don't think Fam looks like it's going to be that type of show that will do that. Match Game is also returning to television. What are your thoughts on Match Game?
I'm guessing as long as it maintains its ratings, pretty much, but I kind of doubt it with Alec Baldwin having his talk show pretty much effectively canceled.
Yeah, he hasn't really had a good enough. He's had some troubles both in and out of entertainment. Obviously the SNL skits do very well for him, but he did find an ending when it came to the Mission Impossible series. As far as so his movie gig, his regular movie gig is kind of gone by the wayside. A little bit of spoilers there. But also his TV show, like you said, the Alec Baldwin show just got effectively canceled. The TVRG and you reported that just recently. So that's kind of disappointing, but Match Game, we'll see how it goes. These what? These
that
type
was
of
after the Alec Baldwin show hit a 0.1, close to the 0.0 Blutarski.
wow.
It's like near Dynasty level, pretty much, or Crazy Ex-Girlfriend level.
Yeah, and actually for an ABC show, that's almost unheard of. So that's really just tragic for that show, and I'm sorry for him, but you know what? I think he'll get over it. I think his paycheck will be just fine near in the future. And Match Game, regardless of what you think about him and his thoughts, and his what he does and whatnot, Match Game is something that people either buy into because the revival of all these old TV game shows, or you're not going to buy in on them. Some of them have worked, but some of them have also fell flat on their face. Another show.
The Gong Show after 2 seasons. But
Yeah.
Match Game is pretty much a casual audience, pretty much. Sometimes it goes low for 1 week or 2, and then it comes back up. So it's pretty much casual viewing.
Speaking of games, Ellen has a new show coming out outside of also helping Kevin Hart try to get back the Oscars. Ellen has a new show coming out called Ellen's Game of Games. I kind of like the commercial that comes out as far as what I've seen so far. So tell me your thoughts on Ellen's Game of Games, and if her name, similar to what we saw with The Rock and Titan Games, if that's something that is really going to be of big interest to people out there.
Well, it's going to do pretty well. Not voice level, but it's going to do pretty well at first, but then after that it might flame out.
Is that something you see traditionally with shows of this type?
Pretty much. It's what happened to Little Big Shots with Steve Harvey. That was after it got moved to Sundays.
That's okay. Then Ellen's Game of Games. I think with her name and her staying power amongst fans out there, I'm thinking it might have a little bit longer lifespan than that show. But you're right. Whether or not she wants to commit to it long term, we'll have to wait and see. It all depends, like you said, on the ratings and whether or not, I believe it's on NBC, and whether or not NBC wants to continue paying the checks for Ellen, because I know she does not come cheap, especially doing another show like that. Another competition show that will also be on NBC is America's Got Talent Champions. And America's Got Talent Champions is now is that a true spinoff of America's Got Talent, or is that something that they're just going ahead and still blending into the America's Got Talent scene?
I kind of think it's kind of like a battle of the vets on AGT, because it's basically they brought in some of their most memorable contestants from all 12 seasons of America's Got Talent.
And you see long-running competition shows do this. Big Brother, Survivor, they've done similar type deals already. So this is something that maybe people were looking forward to. But I want to ask you, when when a competition show mixes up a little bit, sometimes it's successful, and sometimes it's not when they deviate from the general format that they've been doing.
Yeah, the things that will be kept the same is the judges. The judges will be the same as the summer season, but the host, there is a difference in host. We're not really sure if Tyra is going to return for the summer season, but Terry Crews is going to be hosting the AGT champions.
Convenient. He's also taking care of stuff at Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So we'll have to see how that works out with his new relationship with NBC on both those shows. So that's definitely a great that's definitely interesting news. And for continuing the updates on that, you got to go ahead and check out TVRG, the TVRatingsGuide.com. You go ahead, you check out all the renew cancel stuff that's going on with each and every network and also cable as well. But before we get on out, I got to ask you, we got to talk about the CW. We always got to talk about the CW. What's going on with the CW, and also the return of a place I was near in New Mexico just recently, where it was -8 around there. But Roswell, New Mexico is returning to the television waves out there. Tell me your thoughts on what's going on with Roswell, New Mexico and the rest of CW.
Roswell, New Mexico is going to be rebooted with a brand new cast, and it's going to be premiering January 15th behind the Flash. And usually the Flash lead-in has a mixed bag this season. Black Lightning is not doing as well as it should be under the Flash, and it did well last season with mid-season. But the way they're going with the romance angle on Roswell, New Mexico, and that's going to turn off the Flash audience pretty much.
So your thoughts on Roswell, New Mexico, because it's such a different type format, and like you said, they're changing the entire cast of it. Seems like it's a reach for it. Is this a warning sign to you and the rest of TBRG that this could be the end of that show?
Pretty much, but it's the reboot. Pretty much, I'm thinking it's because of its production company. Because you have Charmed with CBS already doing okay, pretty much, but it's the highest rated CBS show. We also have Dynasty, which is on Fridays, 0.1, 0.2, around there. And that's going to be covered for another season, at least, because of the Netflix deal. And with Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Jane the Virgin and iZombie ending, there's got to be at least one or two other shows that are going to be on the chopping block. And we don't know if it's the 100, but I do think it's going to get another season. CW usually gives out final seasons within reasonable amount of time. They stopped doing that since they stopped ultimately canceling it, or with Uncertain Face, they stopped doing that since Heart of Dixie.
Fair enough indeed. So the school's still out on Roswell, New Mexico, although the future, even with a new cast, doesn't look entirely Roswell-y. Let's put it that way. But hopefully they'll have a lot of warmer climates there than I did when I was in New Mexico just recently. So once again, it is Jessica Boggs from the TVRatingsGuide.com. Before we head on out as well, I want to ask you, what things are you working on with the TV Ratings Guide?
Besides a renew cancel predictions, I also have 2 new original shows that are coming out pretty soon. Writer's Block just recently premiered, and I have a teen drama that's going to be premiering sometime in the spring, sometime in March. But no date has been officially set.
Still negotiations going on with you and the TV Ratings Guide. That's always interesting to see how that plays out each and every time a new show comes on the air, a new original network show that comes on the air for the TVRatingsGuide.com. If you want to check out what all those original shows are about, just check out the TVRatingsGuide.com. Or every now and then you might even see it on the Pop Culture Cosmos and popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, because we had the pleasure of also showing off the Writer's Block, the first episode as well. So check it out there or on the TVRatingsGuide.com. Jessica, it's always great to have you on the show. Cannot wait for a February update and talk about a lot of good things that are going on, including a good idea on some of these returning shows and whether or not they're going to live or they're going to die.
Kind of like either with Criminal Minds or not.
Exactly. Always great to have you. Always great to have you on the show, Jessica, and always great to have you a part of the pop culture cosmos.